Oh boy, how are you? Episode 143. Here we go. Let's do it. Come on in, folks. Happy Monday. From loud to classical. How are you, everybody, coming in? This is the longest I've been away from this camera in a long time. Let me know if I'm sounding good and the picture quality's okay. Wow. We got a great group in here already. I love it. I got so many crazy stories. This is going to be a good one, I promise. So stay tuned. Wait, let me turn this down. A little bit of Bach today. Wow, I had a crazy month, and I got a lot of little funny stories to share and lots of things to think about. Wow, Camillo, Dan, William, my mom is in the house, my sister's in the house, Jason, who else? Now listen, I'm Cardone, this is Evening Hour Live. If you are new to this show and you're watching actually live, please say hi in the chat, because there's people that watch this, they never say hi, and if I know you, shout out. If I don't know you, shout out. And this is a live show with a crazy chat, so please jump in the chat and say hi. We got lots of great, smart, thoughtful, cool people in here hanging out. Introduce yourself and sit back and let's have some fun. It's episode 143. Good gods. I want to say, also, I believe the chat points and all that fun stuff is going on live. You'll see people doing it and the instructions for playing the games in the chat, which win points, and you can use the points to buy things. Oh, someone just won 666 points. I love it. So check this out. Does anybody know where or what is a good website for a web store? I'm about ready to launch a web store that's going to sell lots of things, lots of little things, all sorts of things. So please, if anybody is familiar with selling stuff online... Wrath of the Banshee! Hi, Wrath of the Banshee. You've got a great name. Welcome. Thanks for the feedback on the sound and video. It's hard for me to tell what the heck's going on. I have something strange taste in my mouth. I am drinking tonight Guinness Zero. As most of you know, I don't drink booze unless it's no alcohol. I am a fan of the green stuff, but the booze is not my thing. I do like no alcohol beer. Let's see what's going on in here. So yeah, welcome in. Anybody else is out there? I know there's people out there watching anonymously. That's fine. But say hi. This is a live chat. I don't do this show recorded. I like it live. This is live. I just installed OfferUp. Okay, I've seen that, but I want an official web store. I want a nice little thing where I can decorate it, make a nice page. I guess Etsy. People told me Etsy, but I'm not familiar with Etsy. I bought a few things. I almost said a Pennsylvania thing. Boughten. It would be, I almost boughten something. That's a Pennsylvania twang that I carried on even after I moved to New York. Okay, let's keep this moving because they have a lot of stuff here. So, as you know, my last episode, you can go watch it, was basically a rant on how much I hated the new Evil Dead movie. I did. Werner's Ginger Ale. That sounds good. I do like ginger ale. I hated the Evil Dead movie. I consider myself a horror aficionado, fan, freak. I love monster movies, and I have since I was a little kid. And honestly, yeah, the new Evil Dead will be long forgotten. I promise you. And anybody watching this right now, who liked that movie, I guarantee you, it will be forgotten. It is a movie that has nothing in it. Nothing! There's not one scene in that movie that will stand out as memorable compared to what else is out there. Compared to, like, Terrifier 2 that cost this much money to make. So I hated the movie, and I was in a really bad mood, and every now and then I get in the mood to watch a movie. Now, I don't watch TV. Every now and then I'll turn my TV on and set it up and get it ready and watch a movie. And I'm like, there's nothing to watch. I could care less. There's so many of these long, giant, long-winded series. I can't watch them anymore. I can't do it. I don't have it in me. So I decided to watch a few movies that I'd never seen before. And one of them is called Psycho 2. Now, I had seen Psycho 1. Love it. And I had seen Psycho 3 a million times. It was one of those things I remember. I think it was on like HBO or on TV in the old days. And so, oh, it is garbage, Jason. I'm telling you, you could take the Book of the Dead out of the movie and stick in a Ouija board, and it's the same movie. It's nothing. It doesn't need to be an Evil Dead movie. Psycho 2, I'll say it right now, is probably one of the best horror films I have seen in I don't know when. And when I say horror film, I mean horror. Like, I was on the edge of my seat the whole movie. I don't want to spoil it. Don't look up anything. If you're it's a well-made. It looks glorious. I bought the DVD. Hold on. It was dirt cheap. Where is it? It's funny. I don't know where it is. I just stuck it on the wall. I bought the DVD. It's all 4 Psycho movies, right? So I put it in, and it looks good. The script is good. The acting is good. It's full of surprises. I didn't know what was what. It kept making me change what I thought was going on all the way to the very end, and the last scene was absolutely glorious. Even the print, that DVD print or the Blu-ray print, it looked like a new movie. So I give it 2 thumbs up, 10 thumbs up. It's one of the coolest horror films I've seen in years. Now, I watched Psycho 3 a week later. I hadn't seen it in 20 years. Pretty good. Not nearly as good as 2. 2 as a... My daughter thought 2 was better than 1. And my kids were raised on horror films. I mean, when they were babies, they were watching horror movies. We have been watching monster movies in my house forever. Army of Darkness, yes. Yeah, you were saying you're not a fan of the other ones, but that's your favorite. I mean, it's a great movie, Army of Darkness. I love it. So, Psycho 2, I'm not kidding you. Psycho 3, pretty good. It's a slasher movie. Not bad. Directed by the Norman Bates guy, Anthony Perkins. And 4, I've never seen. So I'll watch it one of these days. I heard it's But 2, forget it. Forget it. It's one of the greatest movies. Just go watch it. If you're a horror film freak, you're going to be blown away. The script alone is hard. It's unbelievable. It's about Norman getting out of jail and trying to become a normal person. You got to see it. Now, let's go ahead and do another movie I have never seen. Yeah, Poltergeist 2 is a weird one. I do like it. Sequels, my God, there's so many good sequels. Especially number 2. Chainsaw 2, Evil Dead 2, Aliens, Terminator. I mean, there's so many good ones. The one that I saw... Oh, yeah, well, I like vampire movies too, sis. As As some of you know, Frank Langella's Dracula is my fave. So, another movie I've never seen. Actually, I remember watching it, but not watching it. Like, I think I have a very, very faint memory of going to the library, and I used to go to the library to watch movies. Put the headphones on and sit and watch a movie with the computer screen or the TV screen. And they had those massive laser discs. And I remember watching it on that and falling asleep right away, and that was it. But I watched it, Blade Runner. Loved it. Thought it was great. Never saw it and, never paid attention to it. I liked it. I did have an opinion after it of why it didn't do well at the box office. I think the movie has a weird ending. It's not a very heightened ending, which, like all showbiz, if it ends on a weird note, it is a weird note. It's like a trick. It like brainwashes you to think it wasn't great. It's why I think the Evil Dead movie, I think a lot of people liked it because it had a splashy title credit. The opening scene in the new Evil Dead is garbage, and then it has the most glorious opening title credits, which trick you into thinking the movie's good. And then fast forward to the end, and it has kind of a interesting thing at the end, but it's not well done. Underworld, I never saw. Now, I do want to see the new Blade Runner. I've heard mixed opinions from people. Some say it's great. Some say it's kind of boring. But I'm going to watch it. Underworld, I didn't watch it. That style of sci-fi, horror, action movie, computer animated stuff, I was avoiding it like the plague in those. I mean, I remember seeing Van Helsing at the movie theater and people just laughing like how bad I wanted to leave. Like there's something... I think the girl in Underworld is the same as the girl in Van Helsing. Yeah, I don't know why. That time period, I blur the movies. But for horror, Psycho. What else? That's it. I mean, as for movies, before we get into the other subjects, I get antsy to watch movies, but... yeah, I heard the new Blade Runner is pretty neat. It deals with some subjects that I think about quite a bit, which is why seeing the movie, it kind of made me start to think about some of the philosophy stuff I stew upon. And the concept of AI having memories and dreams and thoughts, it's Kate Beckinsale. That's it. Yeah. I remember her being kind of like easy on the eyes, but that's it. I don't remember acting. I can't remember. Yeah, the idea that AI can be better than a human. I've had many debates with people on this one, and the more I think about it, the more I think they will be able to do everything that we... Here's a challenge. Tell me a job now in the chat that an AI won't be able to do. Because as every job I can think of, they're going to be able to do it. And not only will they be able to, they'll be able to do it better. Even creative jobs. And I make money being creative. I'm telling you now, most people, the art they consume, the music, the TV, the films that are popular are formulaic and catered to selling tickets. The AI will know what to put in the movie by doing an algorithm spin on how to sell the tickets. Way better than any human. Plumber? No, I disagree. Well, okay, let me think about it. Because a plumber, I will use the idea of a dentist, a doctor, a plumber, an electrician. Eventually, the robot will be able to go in your house, touch a pipe, send an electrical impulse down that pipe, and know what the entire grid looks like. and it will be able to cut a hole and do. I mean, they already have robots that build cars. They already have robots that go in our bodies and do clean outs and things. It's just a matter of time. Yes, I saw this. Jason just wrote the AI military drone test that went bad and wanted to attack the controller is terrifying. Yes. Yes. We're going to have AI partners, girlfriends, friends. That already exists. It's already real. What's the difference between an AI girlfriend or a girl you pay to be nice to you and say the right things and she's being paid? The sugar daddy thing. That's real. You know, people do that. They're just like, I get paid to tell him nice things. The robot will be able to do that. I can keep going. Like, I mean, people already listen to AI generated music and think it's great. Let me think. AI lawyers coming soon. I mean, really, it's over. I'll be honest. I don't think it's going to reverse. There's an arms race to figure out the best AI, which is why it's not getting regulated. And whoever figures out the best one, they're going to dominate. That's it. That's how I see it. It's like the discovery of nuclear power, whatever it may be. AI is the big one. Now, whoever discovers that will have the key to be able to formulate the morale of that AI. So it's interesting. And we'll get back to that maybe later on today. So this month, I've been busy. This month here, June, I'm very busy with my performances, but last month I wasn't as busy as I wanted, I'll be honest. My May was, it was okay. Skynet, it's intense. It's real. It became real. Now, oh yeah, add surveillance onto the AI thing, and that's where it's really like yikers. So this month is May, and if you went back in time, pre-Instagram, I was always turkey hunting in May. Now, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I have been fishing and running around the woods since I was a little kid. My father used to hunt when I was really little and before I was born, and by the time I was a little kid, he had stopped. And I always wanted to go, and he was like, I'll take you, blah, blah, blah. And I remember him taking me in the woods a few times, but I knew he wasn't into hunting anymore. He didn't like it anymore. He did it because I wanted to. And so, but he took me fishing, and, you know, we did a lot of woods things, and my mom, who's watching, we did a lot of outdoor stuff like boating and stuff like that. We would go to this lake, and we had a sailboat, and we would sail around the lake. So I grew up in the woods. I grew up sharpening knives, shooting guns, fishing, and all that. And then when I got a little older, I took it upon myself to master hunting and really get into it. And turkey hunting was... I love doing assemblies. It's my favorite gig. I love it. I saw a magician at my assembly when I was a kid, you know? It's very inspirational for me. So, let me know, Dan. And so I took it upon myself to learn how to turkey hunt and kill turkeys, and it became one of the things I really like to do. I eventually stopped just because of life and time and busy, and, you know, I don't live in the woods. I live in New York City on the beach, you know, and the woods is at least an hour and 20 minutes north. So this year, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling antsy. I want to get out there and do it again. I haven't killed a turkey in 7 years, 8 years. And so my son showed interest. And he was like, look, and I was like, look, get your hunting license, and we'll go. And we'll keep going, you know? You get to kill 2 turkeys in the spring. So between me and him, that would be 4 birds. So he did it, and so here are the stats. We were in the woods for 10 days. Long days. I'm talking, I'll explain in a second, but it's a long day. We encountered only 4 turkeys. Two of them, we couldn't get them in, and they didn't. We got them to gobble, and they left. The other two, we called, and they came in, but it was lady turkeys. I mean, really, after like, I think it was day 7 or 8, it's like, oh my God, we've been out here. Like, we've seen every animal known to man. Deers, bears, porcupines, chipmunks, everything. No turkeys. Finally, boop, 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 here comes turkey bird. My son, I'll explain how we do it in a second. He picks his gun up, and it's a girl. You can't kill the ladies. They have the babe. They have the eggs. So, that's what we did. And we stayed in a little tiny motel kind of an area because here's how turkey hunting works, for those of you that don't know. And I wanted to just give a little bit of an inside scoop on it. And eventually we're going to talk about guns today, okay? Because I have some things to say about guns. So, we get to turkey hunt in the spring, which is mating. So, first of all, turkeys travel in a flock. A whole bunch of them. When spring comes, the flock busts up, and the boys go with the boys, and the ladies go over here, and this is where they're looking for partners. So, the hunter goes in the woods, sits down, sometimes camo this way, sometimes in a blind, which is a little tiny tent with a hole in it, and you call in the male birds by imitating the females. And then you shoot them. Now, I want to mention this. This is interesting because a lot of people go, oh, a lot of people in New York don't like guns. And they've never owned one. They've never shot them. They've never even held them sometimes. But they're very anti-gun, anti-hunting, anti-meat, right? I live in a world where I'm mostly in a very left-leaning world, right? It's mostly that. I don't consider myself left or right. If I had to pick some sort of political party, I would probably go more libertarian, but I don't even consider myself that. So, people go, what do you use to shoot the bird? And I'm like, well, I shoot a shotgun. And you have no idea how many smart-ass answers I get after that. Like, whoa, that's got to be easy. Like implying that it's easy to do it with a shotgun. Or they'll go, God, that must put a big hole in the bird. Like, they literally rattle out the dumbest thing ever. If I had to psychoanalyze it, it's a way for them to will to power over top of me turkey hunting. It's very subtle, but it's like they'll comment on it because they know all these things about guns, even though they don't. And they go, well, that's totally brainwashed by the TV and what movies show shotguns doing. But here's what it is. Yes, most turkey hunters use a shotgun, and you don't blow a big hole in it. I'm using 4-shot, which is one. Is this a 4-shot? Yes. That's the shotgun shell. For those that don't know anything about it, this has black powder. That is the little thing that creates the spark. And up here at the top is the shot, which are BBs. They're BBs. Little BBs. Tiny. This is 4-shot. So they're a little bigger, the BBs. They're not tiny. Exactly. So you aim for their head. And a turkey is... dude, they're a big bird. Where's my... Here's a turkey claw. I don't know if this is the last bird I bagged, but... So if this is the foot of the bird, they're like this tall. They're pretty large animals. So you aim for their head. You only need 2 BBs in its head and it's dead. It's very easy to do. And then you process the bird. I got them there. Field dress is the correct term. To cool the meat down so it loses its heat. And then you go home and pluck it and get ready for a turkey. Turkey shot. You got it, bro. They make heavy turkey. They make things to make it better for turkey hunting. Because I shoot a tight pattern with 4-shot. That's what I've been doing my whole life. So I would like to take one with a bow one day, but they come close enough that I could easily kill one with a bow. When you shoot it with a bow, you do hit it in the body with an arrow that doesn't go through it. Yes, so Jason's right. He wrote, turkeys are pretty smart. So turkeys don't have a great memory. Meaning if you kill, there are 2 males that show up and you kill one, The other guy might come back 10 minutes later. But these guys are ninjas. They're quiet. When they're walking in the woods, you don't necessarily hear them. And they can see really far away, and they're really skittery. So that's why full camo. No orange. No orange. And then you call them in. Now, it's funny. What do you like doing better, fishing or hunting? I mean, I really like fishing, especially fishing in the woods, like pond and lake fishing. But I don't know, hunting's pretty cool. I'd have to pick hunting first. I learned how to turkey call, and I'll never forget the day it worked and I killed my first bird. I couldn't believe it. You're like, I can't believe I just imitated nature and it somehow worked. And I'll give you a short demo on this, but it's kind of annoying. So here's how it works. We get up at, I don't know, 3:15 in the morning, eat, drink some coffee, and then we enter in the woods in pitch darkness before the sun rises. Now, we kind of know where we're going to go. We have it's a state park. It's public land. It's literally public land. And we walk in a hiking kind of a trail, and then we shoot off of it and go in the deep woods. And, oh, yeah, well, it should be. I mean, it is a religion because it's part of your daily life. You're eating the food. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff. So after you're in the woods in pitch darkness, I mean, really, it's wild. You walk in, headlamp, gun, bear mace, and you go in, and we set up. And our setup is very simple. We have a blind. It's a tiny little tent, no floor. I clear the leaves off so we don't make noise on the floor. And we have our guns, our turkey calls, our hunting bags, little tiny stool, and we sit on our asses from 4 a.m., watch the sun come up, till the end of turkey time, which is noon. In New York, you have to be done at noon, which sucks, but that's what it is. So, hey, what's up, Lorcan? So, yay, what's up, brother? So, it's magic. When it's dark out, one of the first things that you'll hear are all the owls going off. And I can do an owl hoot, and I'll do it now. I've used this to kill turkeys. It sounds like this. Literally, that's what it sounds like. So, when you walk in the woods in the dark, you can do that, and you'll get them to gobble in the trees. They're asleep in the trees. You'll hear them gobble. It's called a shock gobble. Now, they don't always gobble, but sometimes they do. So, we go in, we set up, the owls are hooting, the sun comes up, and the birds start to chirp. And then, at the crack of dawn, these turkeys jump off the trees, and they start their day looking for their mates. Now, this is a box call. It's literally a wooden box. This one has a plastic bottom, which I like. It makes it loud. I have a wooden one that's not as loud. And I learned how to do this. It's a little knack. Well, here, I'll give you some turkey talk here. This is like a cluck, and it's like they'll do it when they're kind of lost to let other turkeys know, like where are you guys? And it sounds like this. That's it. I don't know how loud that sounds in there. I'm able to make it loud by letting go, or I hold my palm. Okay? That's a cluck. If you see the girl turkeys, that's what they're doing. And then there's the I'm in the mood for some love. That's this. That's what that is. And then there's the purr, which I don't even know how to explain this, but I push down on it and they'll do that. And then there's this. The gobble. And that's you imitating another male. Sometimes that brings them in. So, you're doing this for hours. And eventually, if you're lucky and they're out and they're there, gobble, 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 gobble. They gobble right after that. And then you're in for a chat. And I had the craziest stories where I'll talk to one bird for almost 30, 40 minutes before he comes up so I can shoot him. Really. It's crazy how intense it is. Your bedpost. Is that what it sounds like in there? Yeah. It does. Yeah. That's crazy. Now there's this box call. There's a push button call, which I never tried. There's the slate, and then there's the mouth diaphragm. A lot of guys like the mouth because they can shoot while they're got it in their mouth. If you have a team of 2, a lot of guys turkey hunts in teams. The caller's behind the gunman so that the bird has to come through. It's so amazing of what is entailed. But we didn't get a bird this year. But I will say I had the greatest time of my life. It was me and my son, who's now an adult, just like hanging out in the woods, like together for hours and meditating on life. And the thing that I noticed, I wrote a little essay the other day about it, and I didn't, you only have 400 words on Instagram, which is not much. Bow, chicka, cluck, cluck. That's exactly what this is, Lorcan. That's exactly what it is. That's good. All right, that's the joke of the day there. You got me to lose track of my thought. Oh, yeah. So what I noticed, I always try to bring something out, like I'm in the woods. We're not killing anything. We're not getting any food here. We're just chilling, trying to get this to work. So we're sitting there, and I'm realizing, like right now when I look around this room, everything I see is some sort of symmetrical shape. Everything. Circle, oval, square, rectangle. Everything's very symmetrical, and when you're in the woods, it's chaos. Everywhere you look looks different, especially when you go deep woods. Listen, here's a funny story. We put a trail camera up for a few days to see about this one area we were interested in scouting for birds, and we couldn't find the camera because one little second and everything looks different. We found it, but it was like, oh my God. So you're looking in the woods at this chaotic green nature, and it's like your data processor has to see this chaos of trees and dirt and forest, and what does that do daily? What did that do to our brain as an evolutionary base? Because we evolved through that, not through, I call it symmetrical land. This is, everything's, shapes and symmetrical. We came from the world of no shapes and no symmetrical, and our brains are oriented to that because that's what the biology of evolution, the mutating cells that made us humans, didn't come from this. It came from that. So I realized, to notice the details of the forest, if you just hike through the woods, even people that are looking for the details, you're not seeing them. They're not there because there's no reason that you're there except for walking through the woods. When you go in the woods with the intent to kill a creature that lives there on his turf, you go into a different zone and you start to notice things you never noticed before. Your relationship to the dirt is different. Every time we walk by dirt, we're like looking at it to see what we see. We're reading it. Every time I see broken branches, messed up leaves, any sound I hear, any movement, all of it is very meaningful on a very, very meta level. And it's just fantastic. That's what I'll say. Really. So here we are hiking through the woods and having a blast. Occasionally we'd bump into some hikers. Like at noon, when we were leaving the woods, we would always bump into like maybe one hiker. No, not every day. Only a few times. But they clearly don't like that the hunters are in the woods. They see us and we're full camoed with shotguns. They're just like, oh God, you guys are in here now? It's like, yeah, it's hunting season. And what people don't realize is most hunters are really big into conservation. I mean, we wouldn't have the national parks unless Teddy Roosevelt was a crazy hunter. Really, that's what he was doing. We pay a lot in our licenses. There's the Pitt Woodman Act. I think that's what it's called. It's a law that voluntarily the sportsmen wanted to do this. Ammo and all sorts of things. There's a tax that goes right to the DEC. It goes right back into the woods. It doesn't go to somebody else. It goes to the environmental conservation. So, I mean, I don't think the hikers realize what that is. Now, here's what's interesting. I took my hunting test years ago. My son just took his hunting test. And in the test, it actually says to downplay, like, basically it implied that when you encounter non-hunters, like, hide your gun. Hide the fact that you're hunting. Downplay it. And I was like, why? That's insane. Just because a certain ideology looks down on this doesn't mean that millions of people don't look down on it. I mean, how many people eat meat and look down on hunting? It's insane. I used to encounter it all the time. It's quite extraordinary how many people are like that. I remember one time I was at my kid's elementary school in Manhattan. And, as you can guess, nobody hunts, nobody has any guns, and I'm a New York City guy with guns and I hunt. And someone's like, I forget what their analogy, they were like, there's no need for that. And I remember I was like, oh really? And I remember that they went apple picking with my kid. And I was like, but there's no need to apple pick. You can go to the grocery store and buy apples. Why do you pick apples? And the guy was like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, what do you mean you guess? You go pick the apples because it's an experience. It's an appreciation of the value of looking at where this thing grew from and the activity of doing such. It not only reminds you of our heritage of where we came from, but, I mean, it's a form of meditation, relaxation, exercise. I mean, I can keep going. That's just apple picking. Hunting's the same thing. And it is a sport. Go try it. Put a 30, 40-pound pack on and go hike 5 miles in the woods, set up, and it's not easy. Now, I don't know if people know this, but a lot of people don't realize that a lot of hunting deaths are not from shooting. They're from heart attacks. And that's because, like surfing, and I surf, and this is a similar analogy, they have not been covered in... I love it. Yeah, exactly. That's painful. You're sitting on a surfboard waiting for waves, 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 waves. All of a sudden, there's a big boy. Oh boy, here we go. So you go from calm, meditative wave hunt to crazy adrenaline ride on a wave. Hunting's the same. Waiting, eating, and you're blind. Hours go by. There's a deer or a turkey. Your heart rate goes crazy. Heart attack. The other one is they dragging the animal out of the woods. They have a heart attack. So, let's go into the next subject. I had so many things I wanted to say about this. I called the show tonight, it's episode 143, Honest Bad Guys, Guns, and Turkey. And I really wanted to... The idea of an honest bad guy I always thought was fascinating. We've had politicians that are kind of like that. But why is there fuzzies everywhere? I have these little fuzzies floating around. Where are they coming from? Like there's a stuffed animal nearby. So, I don't talk politics on this show much. I barely do, ever. I don't like it. I don't like politics in any entertainment. If you watch my magic shows, you will see no political humor at all on any side of anything. I don't mention religion. I don't mention politics. I'm old school like that. And I do think you can get along with people that have very different political leanings and religious belief. Yes, we can get along. The only two subjects I feel comfortable talking about publicly, meaning I will go on any talk show and go off on this, are free speech, because that's what I do for a living, and guns, and knives, things like that. Weapons, self-protection, and the Second Amendment. I'm comfortable discussing these things. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of thinking. I work in the free speech realm, and I legally own firearms and weapons, and they're not just for hunting, okay? The Second Amendment says nothing about hunting. That's not why it's there. And so I figured out, I don't believe gun laws do anything, especially new ones. I really do believe that, and if somebody can prove to me that that works, please show me. I've been looking very deeply. And I believe it's because I have a little bit of a sympathy, or not a sympathy, but an ear to the bad guys. So, here's what I'll say. I've been thinking about the best rebuttal to a gun debate on no one needs a gun, or no one needs an assault gun, or no one needs a handgun, or we have to crack down on guns, or we have to crack down on knives, or whatever it may be. Whatever your argument is. Gun violence is a health epidemic. We have more mass shootings than anywhere. Whatever it may be. Most of our gun deaths are suicide. Half. I figured out a way to prove in 1 second that new gun laws won't work. And the proof, people won't follow them. Okay? I'm being honest. Me and a million other people I know, if they would outlaw guns, it's never going to happen. Never, 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 never. No way. Not happening. Never. Not going to work. People don't follow the law. It's not going to work. And I know a lot of people that won't follow the law. And they know a lot of people, and they know a lot of people, and then some. So unless I'm lying right now about my own personal way of dealing with things, you could claim, oh, he's just lying for effect. Then I've just refuted all of those debates. That's right there. I'm just throwing it out there. Well, that's it. I mean, I always thought my favorite, they don't even know what an assault weapon. Most people that don't like guns have never owned one. I grew up around guns. They were all over the grandparents' house. I mean, everybody had one in their closet. There's always somewhere a gun. Here's the thing. Whenever somebody mentions, gun violence and whatever, honestly, we could get into the numbers and the states that do the concealed carry versus this, that, and the other. This is what I tell people, to be brutally honest. I like free speech, and that includes good speech, nice speech, and hate speech. Because to me, hate speech isn't always hate speech. It might be interpreted as such, but it also might be for artistic merit. It also might be a place where a new idea will grow. It's a place, for me, all the things that we love now that are considered good were considered hate speech. I mean, even the Bible stuff that the Jewish carpenter guy had to say was considered hate speech to the Jewish guys. It's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Galileo Galilei, his science was hate speech because it went against the grain of what the bosses were saying. So to me, all the good things came from blasphemy and hate speech. So that's why I'm pro free speech. You have to be able to say it. And if it's hurtful to somebody, I hate to say TFB. Too bad. I don't mind being offended. I'm offended daily, and I deal with it. It's fine. And I'm not really offended. I'm the type that's I use that word lightly because it's meaningless. But if someone's too sensitive to handle free speech, then they might want to go somewhere else, because that's what you get here. You know, my heavy metal record collection in 20 years is probably be considered hate speech because of the violence in it. So, the second part to that is I am pro-gun and pro-self-defense and pro-body autonomy. And if that means more dangerous stuff and more violence and more danger, I'm okay with that. I'll take that. I'll take it over the other extreme. To me, there's two extremes. One is Mad Max chaos, and the other one is totalitarianism, all the way, with robots surveilling every motion you make and fining you and punishing you as such. One side's that, and the other side's that. That's what I see. And if you put a gun to my head and say, choose one of those, I'm going with the Mad Max side. That's it. Easy. Easy way to just, whoop, over there. So, to me, the Founding Father guys, when they did the first two amendments, I'm quite amazed philosophically that it's the first one and the second one, it goes in that order, because it makes sense. You got to be able to say it. And if you can't say it and someone's stopping you from saying it, this comes out. That's, to me, the balance. My favorite argument that I hear about gun stuff is why. And you go, well, what do you mean why? To defend yourself against a foreign invader, a totalitarianism, or someone breaking into your house, all three. And they'll go, oh, you're going to stop a tank with a gun? And the answer is, yeah, actually. You don't study warfare, obviously, but go look at the Vietnam War, look at the Iraq War, look at where people are embedded with guns, and you'll see, ask the Ukrainians if they wish they had a lot more guns at home. I'm telling you, it comes out of nowhere. I'll bet a month before, the Ukrainians didn't realize that was coming. Just like in Germany, how extreme it got quickly. So it always comes out of nowhere, and it's a surprise. And my criticism to the left, not the right, the left, would be, you are not assuming that it's going to go south. Meaning, you're assuming that all the rules that you like, that the boss is a good guy. When the boss is a bad guy, will you like those same rules? For instance, hate speech. When the good guy's there, he's like, I'm going to ban these words that you can't use because they're hateful. Fine. But what about when the boss leaves and there's a new boss that's a bad guy? And then he's banning things that you don't think are hateful. It's the opposite. You see, you got to be able to deal with that and think about it. And a lot of the things on the left-leaning sides is assuming that the bosses are all good. I never assume the bosses are good, ever. And when I follow history and through reading, it would seem that, from my humble opinion, all things are expanding. Everybody's expanding. If you're the tough guy, you're expanding. If you're the if you're the peacenik and you're the peaceful guy, you want to expand your peacefulness, right? So I assume that people are expanding and expanding and expanding. So if you create a group, a society, a country that's going to be free as possible, where people can do whatever they want, they can live according to their nature, how they want, even if it's objectionable to certain groups, there's a way to work it. It's like, all right, you guys go over there, you do this, you do that, and we'll work it out. Oh, here, what's this? I'm looking. There's some good stuff in here. Yes, stay in your lane. If you don't have a vagina, don't. Yeah. Well, yes. A lot of people talk about things in which they have no opinion. I would say the rebuttal to that would be from the gun point of view, but the anti-gun person would say, but it is my opinion because people are getting killed. So my rebuttal to that is, okay, so you can go get a gun and protect yourself. And they'll go, well, I don't want to live in the Wild West. And it's like, you do. Like, if you want to make it not the Wild West, you can do that, but you're going to have to get rid of the Second Amendment and free speech and some other things. So I just assume in this idea of everybody expanding that eventually things always go south. What's the old saying? Power ultimately corrupts. Clearly that's true. Clearly. And these guys, the founding fathers, who were pretty enlightened philosophically, and I'll debate anybody on that. I mean, these guys were like basically atheists, some of them, openly. They were deists. It's a very different version of what people think of as Christianity. They were enlightened enough to realize, hey, this cool government that we're going to try to whip up, where free speech is the first thing in the amendment, we got to make sure there's some checks and balances here. And one of them, if it's a government for the people and by the people, they got to have power. And I mean power. The military can't become its own agency. You know, it can't do that. It's not good. Like, its own intelligence agency, like the CIA and all that stuff. So that's just my opinion. Guns are never going to go away. You can ban them all day. You can 3D print them. You can buy them illegally. And the bad guys will always have guns, whether they be bad governments or a corrupt police or a gang in the middle of nowhere, whether they be the whatever. They're not going anywhere. It's like electricity. Now, if you want to go the route where you're beating down doors and arresting people, you can go that route, but that won't work unless somebody has a gun, meaning the good guys, or I'll put quote, good guys. You can go that route. Go right ahead and see what happens. I don't think the swing back will be too nice. And also, anybody that brings up other countries, well, those are other countries, and they don't have free speech laws. Does anybody know of another country that has a free speech written down in law like ours is? I don't think so. Canada doesn't have one. Europe, they have hate speech laws. Poland has blasphemy laws. So, look, I don't like certain hate speech words. I don't like them. I can't stand them. But I don't want them made illegal. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. So, thoughts, please. Anybody out there has a good rebuttal. I'd like to hear it. I've been dying. I look for them. I don't sit there and go, I'm right. I go, where am I wrong here? What am I missing? I don't quite understand where my logic is flawed in this. And I'm coming from the bad guy point of view. I'm just being honest. They're never going to go away. And I remember saying that to somebody, and they were like, well, then you have to go away. And I was like, try. You don't have a gun. I do. No, seriously. I don't know what people are thinking. I honestly think that self-preservation is a pretty high law. And a gun is an equalizer. You know, there's a lot of violence in the cities now. There's a lot of muggings and whatnots. And look at the shoplifting thing. Like, literally, right now, all of us could get up and go to a Target and just walk out with a bunch of stuff, and you're not going to get arrested. They're not going to call the cops. What do you think that does for the bad guys? When you have, I know what I was going to mention, gun-free zones. A lot of money has been spent to pass laws where they're gun-free. For instance, Times Square is now gun-free. You know, like, I'm trying to think, like, in a town, you can say, well, this area is gun-free. Here you go. Good question, Dan. I'm going to answer that. excellent question. Gun-free zones. Here's an example. Schools are gun-free zones. So if you legally carry a gun, you're not allowed to use it you can't bring it into school. Like if you're going to pick your kid up at school, you can't walk in with it. Okay. So, it's true, Jamie. So here's an example. The New York City schools all have a cop that sits in the front desk. When you walk in, there's a cop, all unarmed. Now, 10, 15 years ago, same thing. There was a cop, and I think her name was Miss Sutherland. I still remember her name. I made friends with her because I would pick my kid up at school, and we'd hang out and chat. And I said, "Yo, you're a cop without a gun." And she was like, "Yeah, it's a gun-free zone." What? Do you see how bad of a logic that is? The cops aren't even allowed. So my thought is, a block away there was a bank with a security guard with a gun. No one thinks that's weird. But if I mention a security guard with a gun at the school, the parents are like, "Ew, terrible." Yet they'll walk into the bank with their kids. They go to the bank all the time. There's a guy with a gun. It makes no sense to me, logically. I'm just using pure logic. Dan says, do you think there should be a limit on how many one can own or the types you can own? Interesting. So, limit? No. I don't own that many. I have friends that have hundreds. They're almost like their own militia of sorts. And the type? Well, so in this country, machine guns, meaning full auto, meaning pull the trigger and hold it, they've been illegal for a long time, but you can get a permit to own them in some states. For instance, Nevada. I think Nevada might be the only one. And I don't know anybody that legally owns, machine guns, okay? Literal full automatic guns. I don't know anybody. I do, however, have friends that can make a semi-automatic gun behave like a machine gun with a little bit of practice. You know what a bump stock is, right? They're banned. So semi-automatic gun is you pull the trigger, bang, it shoots a bullet, bang, 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 reload, bang, bang, bang. There's a trick where it's a special type of a stock that when you shoot, bang, the recoil enables it to keep going. So it's bang, 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 and it turns into a machine gun. I know people that can do this. Yeah, they're very, yeah. Read the chat. Someone's talking about machine guns. 1980, yeah. It's very hard to get a machine gun. I have friends that can do the machine gun trick just from practicing. There's a trick to it. So a lot of people go, well, they didn't have high-powered rifles when the amendments were. Yes, they did. They did. And muskets were military guns. They weren't, and they did have machine guns. They had Gatling guns. They had guns like that did things. And they didn't put that in, they didn't mention that. So if guns are ultimately used for defending against your home and tyranny, I would say I am okay with all guns owned. Yes, it sounds brutal and wild. I'm okay. I think it means then as humans, we have to self-regulate. Meaning, if I have a friend that's clearly obsessed with guns and he's buying too many and he's acting like a kook, yeah, maybe we need to intervention a bit and pay attention. I'm not into red flag laws. Whenever I hear that, oh my God. Red flag laws is Minority Report. Go watch that science fiction movie. Now, I live a crazy lifestyle. I'm a rock and roll magician, occultist. I have a lot of weird things about my life that if somebody would say, hey, that guy's crazy and shouldn't have any weapons, I mean, it's sad because under those silly red flag laws, I could lose my rights without any court case proof, nothing. It's really weird. And I think it can be used in the wrong way really easy. And that's why I'm not into red flag laws. Does it mean things are more dangerous? Maybe. But again, I'm okay with that. I don't understand this the safety thing. I forget who said it. Those who trade in their rights for safety deserve neither. I really do think that. We have to study reality with open eyes and not eyes with rose-colored glasses. You got to really look at it like the jungle. It's the law of the jungle. You can remove the law of the jungle, but it's still there. It ain't going anywhere. You can remove. To me, if somebody does ask me what, then so they'll say, well, so what is your solution? Well, Ben Franklin, boom, another deist. That guy was not a normal Christian. I think he was also a swinger. Clearly, mental health is at stake. Clearly, a lot of the people that are committing a lot of these crimes are on meds that we never hear about, never will. The news won't mention them. Or they're supposed to be on meds and they're not. That's possible too. Another one is, as in mass shooting, and I don't mean 2 people getting shot or 3, because I think a mass shooting now 3 counts. They keep lowering the number. But like, you know, the crazy guy with an assault weapon shooting up a movie theater, right? Well, the reason why we have a lot of them is because it became a thing. It's a thing. It's a, you know, before a certain time period, it wasn't a thing to do that. Now it's a thing, and it's mentioned on the news. So if you're at home thinking about doing something nuts, this thing exists that you can go do. You don't have to invent it. It's already there. You know about it. You've heard about it. You've seen it. You've heard it being discussed. You know that you become part of a thing if you do it. So, look at this. So, William Nemeth says, so the governor of Michigan just signed a red flag law that says they can come into your home and remove guns if you seem unstable. Yeah, that's to me crazy because that can clearly be used against you. Like, what kind of court do they assemble to examine your life? You know, when you buy, listen, I'm going to give you something really nuts right now. And this is crazy. To own a long gun in New York City and pay all the crazy money to do it, they want to, by law, you have to show them your Instagram and stuff now. This is crazy. That means, like, what is the next thing? You have to let them in your home to inspect your home? That's coming. I'm not into gun laws because if the gun law is to protect you from the people making the gun laws, you can't have them. It's a catch-22. It's a little bit of a problem. And no one wants to talk about that. Yes. So, I don't know how it works, the details, but now you voluntarily have to show them your social media accounts to own any guns in New York City. Even the gun that you put in your closet with a gun lock on. Right, you have to do all of this. I'm not into it. I see the problem. If you let them regulate it, the police and the government, they will regulate it out. They're going to expand. Remember I said expand? If they are going to expand and the government's going to expand, that expansion will go in one direction. Name a time where the cops literally like pulled back on that. They don't. So that's how I look at it. If anybody has a good rebuttal to some of the points I made, please point them out. I don't think people realize the nature of humanity. Social credit scores for gun laws. That's completely happening right now. It's happened already. Yeah, so that's it. You know, if you go the illegal route and save your life, you will go to jail, but you saved your own life. That's how, I mean, it's worth it then, right? Of course. There's in Ridgewood, Queens, when I moved there, I remember a bunch of gangsters were going to shoot somebody, and the guy defended himself, killed one of them. I remember because it was still bullet holes, and the guy lived, but he got arrested for a illegal firearm. So they're trying to ban pointed knives in England right now. I'm not kidding. It proves that it's not the gun. If you, I'm going to play devil's advocate. If you were like, you got to, if it was a video game where you had to design a way to go kill a bunch of people and you weren't allowed to use a gun, I can think of really quickly many ways to do that, as I'm sure you can right now, using vehicles, chlorine gas that you make. I mean, these shows you how to make all this stuff online. It's not that hard. So you're telling me that by removing this one thing that causes problems, the problem's gone? I don't think so. I think you've just done something to make the problem get worse. Because it's strengthening this, it's doing this weird, it's not good. So, yeah. So those are my thoughts. I'm curious if anybody has anything to say about it. I honestly like... Oh, here's something fun. On free speech. And I'm going to end it on this. So, in China, I have a buddy. I don't know if he's watching. I've interviewed him. He's a really good friend. Stuart Palm. He's another mystery entertainer. He's a mentalist, and he does a show in Hong Kong. And we chat a lot, and he was telling me that the stand-up comedians now in China have to submit their act to the government in writing and in video form before they can perform it live. That's it, bro. Now, I'm upset over that. Not that that's the law. I'm upset that the civilians and the comedians aren't trying to plan a takeover. If you told me now that every single nightclub gig I did, I had to submit a video and a breakdown to the government before I go do it at the nightclub, I mean, I'm going to be making calls to all my friends that have lots of the 100 guns in their closets. This is outrageous. This is so outrageous. I don't know what to say. It is literally like hard to believe. And I just saw recently on the notion of what we were talking about earlier, I didn't realize this, but the AI robot dogs that you see videos of that look really real, they had them in China for checkpoints to check in with your COVID app. And that's what they were using to patrol. I mean, this is not a joke anymore. Like, Jim Dunn wrote, communism. Yeah. And I don't think people realize what it is and its new versions. One of these days I'm going to do an episode on critical theory, not critical race theory, not critical whatever theory, just critical theory. Because all critical theories, whether it be critical race theory, critical this theory, critical that theory, all of them, if you line them out, all of them will say you either are fighting for the cause or you're the enemy. That's what critical theory is. You're either this or that. There's no in between. And ultimately, it leans towards, it is communism. It's like, we all have to be on the exact same page, and if not, we shoot you. It goes to that. Because if you're not going to follow along, what do? Look at what the communists did. If you're not going to follow along, you're out. And it's not good. It's not good. There is a way to get along. I think the founding fathers had a great idea. They created the state systems. They created, each state can run its stuff. If you want to be crazy, you can go over there, whatever it is. They also created free speech and a right to protect. The problem is that type of a government requires responsible, smart people. And there's the problem. And on that, I raise my glass. Because we do have responsible, smart people in this chat right now. I'd like to think of myself as kind of responsible. I don't know if I'm smart. I read. I mean, I don't even know what smart means anymore. Because I know lots of smart people that act dumb, as I'm sure a lot of you do too. I actually have, it's funny, I don't call people dumb anymore. I changed it. You've heard me say it on this show. I don't call people stupid. I don't like it anymore because a lot of people that are highly intelligent they're not dumb, but they're using their lizard brain to make their decisions. And that's interpreted as stupid. And it's not that they're dumb. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not a master of any of these things. I'm a regular guy. I'm a punk rock middle-aged dude that's having a lot of fun with his life, trying to pay the bills, doing my art forms. That's it. And I really appreciate that we have this audience that comes in here and listens. Yeah. I have something I'm going to show at the end. I have a video I want to show. It's Dee Dee Ramone's anniversary of the day he died. I have 1,600 signatures to name the amphitheater that's right on the boardwalk, right over here, after the Ramones, and it looks like it might happen. And I'm always looking for new punk rock bands and old bands I didn't listen to. And there's a band that I knew about. I liked them. I never paid close attention to. And I started paying attention to them. The Anti-Nowhere League. If you watch my posts, I've been obsessing over them recently because I started listening to their entire catalog. And they have some amazing songs. Their first record was a punk rock record. Their second one is an amazing new wave kind of record. And then they went back to punk rock and just stayed with it. They're kind of like, it is nihilism in audio form. They have some nasty lyrics. They have some funny lyrics. They have some great heartfelt lyrics. The singer looks like somebody who stepped out of a Mad Max movie and will punch you in the face. I am a big fan. I'm going to play a video of them live. It's a love song with beautiful lyrics. It chokes me up. I love punk rock love songs. I do. I'm a punk rock romantic. And so I want to end with a video, and then I'll play the end credits. I don't know what to say. I think I'm going to be here next week with episode 134. 144. What are we? Jesus. Yo! Punk. Yeah, Neurosis. Another good band. What's up, D? Davidson Mulkey. 144 is next week's episode. Oh my God, we're almost at 150. Woo! So I think I'm back here next week. I have a very busy month of magic shows. I'm away. Am I away this weekend? Yes. I think I'm in Massachusetts this weekend. I have a crazy schedule. I'm going to be at the Asbury Tattoo Fest for 3 days as the MC and performing for all 3 days in Asbury, New Jersey. And that's in 2 weeks. So if you're in that area and you want to go to a cool show, the tattoo show is great. It's right there on the beach. It's like right off the boardwalk, the hotel. Anywho, I present to you the Anti-Nowhere League, and I'm out of here. Let's have a great week. Love you guys. Thanks for coming in, really. Thank you.
Shout, but no one's listening. So we live like no one does. For you, well, I'll be your soldier. For you, well, I'll bury friends. For you, well, I'll be your savior. For you, well, I'll play pretend. So we laugh, but no one's laughing. We kiss, but no one cares. So we shout, but no one's listening. So we live like no one does. For you, well, I'll be your soldier. For you, well, I'll for you, well, I'll be your savior. For you, well, I played